There you go. Okay. I wish we had the on-air thing towards the back as opposed to the side.
Yeah, right beside the door.
Good evening and welcome to the Thursday, March the 8th, 2018 regular session of the Xenia City Council. We're now ready to begin our session, and we'll begin this evening with an invocation led by Pastor Andy Spencer from the First Church of Christ, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by our Mayor, Sarah Mays. If you would rise with me, please, for the invocation and pledge.
Let us pray. Dear Father, I continue to pray for Xenia and that this will be the best place possible and we can do all that we can to make it the best place possible. Thank you so much for all of those servicemen and women who put their lives on the line so we can have a better nation, state, county, and a better city. I thank you for our police workers, fire workers, all those that put their lives on the line to keep us safe. And I thank you for all the people that do all the work to make this a great place. Pray that it'll get better, though, Father. I pray for your wisdom. I pray for your strength in that. I thank you for the schools and all those people that serve and work and do all that they can to pour their lives into students, whether it be in public, private, or homeschooling. Father, now I pray for the council that you'll bless them, give them wisdom and guidance, give them harmony as they make decisions. Especially give them wisdom, because if they choose A, then the people that want B will be upset. If they choose B, the people that want A will be upset. So help them to do the best that they can to make a win-win out of everything. If they choose this road instead of that road, so give them the wisdom, Father, please. And we lift this meeting to you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Pastor Spencer and Mayor Mays. May I have roll call, please?
Vice President Wallace.
Here.
Councilman Scrivens.
Here.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Here.
Councilman Smith.
Here.
Councilman Dean.
Here.
Mayor Mays.
Here.
President Engel.
Here. Thank you. At this time, we have an opportunity to approve minutes. I would request approval of our February 22nd, 2018 special session, please.
So moved, Mr. President.
Moved by Councilman Lauterbach. Second, please.
Second that.
Seconded by Councilman Smith. Any discussion or question on this set of minutes, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And now a motion, please, for our February 22nd, 2018 regular session.
So moved, Mr. President.
Moved by the Vice President, seconded by Councilman Dean. Any discussion or question on this set of minutes, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. This time we usually have special presentations scheduled. We have none for this evening. At this time we then have audience comments. If anyone would care to come and address the Xenia City Council, please feel free to do so. Step to the podium, provide us your name and address. Limit your comments 4 to 5 minutes, please.
Good evening. My name is John Saraga. I live at 279 North King Street here in Xenia, Ohio, and I'm grateful to be here tonight. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you. Tonight I'd like to talk to you about something you're well aware of. And it's not a fun subject, but it's roads. We know that our roads are in bad shape. And I'm not here to point fingers, because I'd have to start pointing at me first. But I'm not here to do anything other than be civil and ask for your support. I'd like to, I've passed out to you, hopefully you all have this, one page, and on the back it shows what was spent in 2004 and 2005. What I'm hoping to do tonight is give you a little background. I'm going to outline the problem. I'm going to recommend a solution. It's not the final solution, because you have that. And there are more solutions, but it needs to be done. And I'm requesting your help. I want to point out that back in 2004, we were spending about $1.5 million a year on maintaining the roads. We went down a little bit in 2005 with about $1.4 million. And when we passed the income tax increase a few years ago, there was an agreement that about $500,000 would be added to what was being spent on the roads to help maintain the roads because they needed to be fixed. Our point is that I don't think there's enough money being spent on maintaining the roads. But I'd like to offer to you a solution. Because the city income tax, along with the state and federal government through the county, gives you some fees every year to be able to provide money to maintain the roads. And what it would do to fix these roads is that all of us in our city, first of all, we want more businesses, we want more jobs. More importantly, when it comes time to sell our homes, we want to be able to do that. And how we do that is make a good first impression. If a visitor comes to our wonderful city, what happens is they see the roads in the condition they are, and they're just not that impressed. And they move on to another place where they could buy and do business elsewhere. I'm hoping that we can fix this. Now, it's been a while, but I believe we have about 160 miles of road in our city. Some of it are residential streets, a lot of it is. Some of it certainly is thoroughfares. And they're all in very deplorable condition. And I also realize that you can't just fix all that in overnight or a year. In fact, I propose that it probably is going to take 8 to 10 years to be able to do something of that large. And so what I propose to you is something I think you all probably would know silently, and that is that if you asked for an increase in income tax, I'm pretty sure the citizens would not vote for that. They also wouldn't be happy if you increased fees. And I certainly don't like going in debt. But there needs to be a plan, and there needs to be a debt to be able to fix the huge amount of problems that there are. So I suggest to you that you create a plan that doesn't include any raises in taxes or fees. And I figure that somewhere between what you got in the increase of the income taxes, along with what is given to you from the gasoline taxes and other fees, that you would have about $1.3 million a year to spend on the roads. And what I think should happen is that you should borrow about $30 million, because that's about how much it's going to take to fix these roads. And you do that with a specific idea to repair, replace, and maintain all of our streets. And then what you do is you take the money that you should be spending on the roads every year and you pay the loan down that way. You may not be able to get that much money, but at least you could get some of it and get a bite going on fixing at least some of the roads and show the people that you can. And then maybe they would step up and offer some more help. But I believe that in order to do that, in order to do it in 8 to 10 years, which is a long time, it would take for you to be able to do about 20 miles of road a year. That's a lot. So that would take a lot of work on the city manager's staff. And I think that what needs to be done is identified, probably through the engineer or someone, to find out what's the worst roads, start with them, fix them all, not just the roads, but the curbs also. Because without a curb, the road is going to deteriorate fast. I also believe that if you fix a road, you have to do it right. Now, if you went down 2nd Street all the way to the end, back about 40 years ago, the city did do all the paving of the roads. The workers that they lived here, they love this city. They picked up trash, they fixed the lights, they mowed the grass, they did almost everything. But they also redid the roads. At the end of 2nd Street, you'll see a road that they did, and you could tell that they cared. They rolled it, and they made sure it was done right. They also did it in the summertime, when the temperature was the best, because material doesn't set up well when it's cold. I don't like it when it's cold, but concrete, asphalt, it needs to be about 75 degrees. But if you check that road out, the potholes are very few and far between for as long as that's been in. I would also suggest to you that going into debt is a very serious and difficult thing, something I normally wouldn't suggest. I say that if you develop a plan, whatever your plan is, that you take it to the people for their vote. Why? Because it's the right thing to ask them to get behind the project. Because it would be such a multi-year project, it would be evasive. There's certainly going to be roads that's going to be shut down and being worked on, and it's going to make business folks kind of uncomfortable. When we did Detroit Street, boy, I got all kinds of nasty letters. People were not happy with having to go around. It was difficult. It's going to be a difficult thing to do to fix all that. I know that there's lots of other ideas. Mine, you know, I'm not the smartest guy in the city. There are other ways, and I appreciate you listening to it, because the reason I'm here is because at least 10 people came to my door, knocked on my door and said, would you please go to City Council and ask them to fix the roads. Some weren't very happy. And I am convinced, as I've gone around, I hear people that are very upset and very angry with the roads. If you do this, if you fix the roads, or at least put a plan together and step in the right direction, I believe this is an opportunity as a community project to bring the community together, and certainly it'll benefit everybody in the city, renters, homeowners, businesses, our visitors, our neighbors. Everyone can benefit from a good street. And I urge you to please listen to what the city manager is going to propose to you in a week or so. And please keep in mind that your bosses really want you to do something, and they don't want to pay any more money for it either, because they believe that they've paid for it, and I think they have. I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Breaking just a touch with tradition, the city manager and I had discussed this evening, and knowing that from our communique from Mr. Saraga that a number of people would want to come and speak about the roads. Certainly wanted to make all of you aware publicly, if you've not heard already, that on the 15th of March we will be meeting for 2 hours in a very intense work session with the city, where the city manager and his staff have put together a comprehensive list of courses of action to address the roads, everything from a little to a lot. Thank you very much for Mr. Saraga, you coming, and this group coming to speak to us this evening. We have heard you. We have all driven over the same streets. I know you've heard this from me before. There's nothing that can be done immediately for many of the reasons Mr. Saraga just suggested. You can't pave in the wintertime.
The time. You didn't mention the time.
Oh, the time. Terribly sorry. 5 to 7.
Yeah.
And we will be, again, meeting in a very structured, working type session. From what I understand from the city manager, we won't be meeting as we normally do in special session in here. We'll be meeting around our conference table. But if people wish to come and observe the session, we will be live streaming the work session into this room. So you're certainly welcome to come and review it and see what such is being proposed on our screen. There'll be obviously sound as well to go with it. Past that, I don't think I've missed anything from what we had talked about. The other item that we are also considering, we've not had a chance to discuss amongst all the council members, but we do appreciate citizens whenever they come forward to us, either in a structured setting like this or individually to each of us, with very constructive suggestions. We are aware of many of the problems. We would like to hear more from you about what the problems are. We would also like to hear your constructive suggestions, as Mr. Saraga has done this evening, on how we might move forward with them. Certainly our city staff is excellent. They know a great deal about how to get things done, but we are always interested in hearing ideas from our citizens about how we can do better. From that perspective, and I, again, have not had a chance to discuss this with all my colleagues. I've just heard from the mayor and the city manager, but would entertain the idea amongst my colleagues for their consideration, perhaps establishing a blue ribbon panel of citizens who might come together as a group to both receive the concerns of the community and bring them to us as a group, but also then sit with us in session to discuss at length, again, these potential constructive solutions that could be fixes to these problems. So with that, I'll continue on with audience comments, but just wanted all of you, since I think a majority of you are here for the same purpose, to hear of what we're planning to do, and we are prepared when the weather breaks and the asphalt companies again begin producing asphalt to move forward with doing something with the streets based on the courses of action that will be laid out, of which obviously the one brought this evening will be one up for consideration as well. So thank you very much for a brief interruption. And again, please step forward, provide us your name and address. Limit your comments 4 to 5 minutes, please.
Good evening. My name is Robert Haller. 33 years ago, I moved to Xenia at 532 Marshall Drive, where I live today. And over that time, I've seen the city deteriorate in terms of the roads and the conditions. And I'm just kind of taken back by that. I agree with the mayor that it needs to be fixed, and fixed with the curbs as well. But I wonder whether or not the money can come from what is typically the most expensive part of any business, and that is the labor part of the business. The city business over the years seems to have grown. That is, more and more employees. And I was surprised one time when I looked on Facebook and I saw that the payroll included directors, assistant directors, and in the past I think we've been more lean at how we manage our money, and therefore you can spend some of the resources to maintain the roads. So what I would ask is someone take a review of how we're spending our money on the bureaucracy. That's where the money is. And I'm not saying that they're not doing valuable work, but is there any way we can be more lean? And I too am concerned about taking on debt. That debt to me is just paying, I'll be paying for it later. And when we just had a tax increase, it was told to us that it was going to be used to maintain the roads. And it seems like we're always being forced to choose between safety, police, fire. And I just wonder whether or not the bureaucracy has grown so big that we're not able to use that money efficiently. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dee Dee Larson, and I live at 75 Emily Drive here in Xenia. And I just want to kind of make it known for the community, for many people that I know. I volunteer in the community. I work in the community. I've lived here. I have many children that have participated in activities. I know a ton of people in the community. And I talk, and they talk to me. And people are agitated about the streets. But they're more agitated, and I want to make it known, they're more agitated with the projects that are going on in the community. Not so much that there are projects, because they are wanting projects to be done, things to make our city grow and be better, but they're more apt to be accepting of those projects if priorities are in place and the streets are taken care of first. You see a terrible street and you're fixing bike paths, they're wondering why. They're wondering, why is our money going towards a bike path when our streets are so horrible? Why are we worried about a bike path? Why are we worried about islands in the middle of the road? Why are we worried about all the projects that the community doesn't really need right now? So my reasoning for coming up here is I totally 100% agree with John Saraga. I feel as if our money, us taxpayers, our money needs to be used for the streets. We want our streets to be pretty for our community. We want people to come into our community and love Xenia. I love Xenia. I've been here 22 years. I love it. I'm from down south, but I choose to be here, not go back down. But I don't want to live where it's not pretty and where people don't want to come in and are talking bad of our community. So my point is to, like I said, I back John Saraga. Our money needs to be used for the streets first. Nobody is opposed to projects, but the streets first. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kenneth Harbison, and I just wonder why
Address, sir.
all of a sudden you guys build this beautiful building.
Sir, your address, please.
Pardon?
Name and address for the record,
I will.
please.
I just can't understand. You build this nice building. Why didn't you have an intercom system so people could hear what's going on? I mean, it wouldn't cost that much to put one in. Put an intercom, put speakers so people could hear what you guys are saying or other people are saying. But you can't do that. I don't understand why. And I also I'm like everybody else with the streets. It's unreal. Hey, we got one. I'm amazed. Somebody turned the button on. Thank you. But what I'm getting at, I was born here in Xenia, Ohio in 1942. I lived here off and on all my life. I've been in the same, I live out of Lanewood off of 2nd Street. I've been there 40-some years. And our street has never been repaved. You put that cold patch down. 40-some years. Pay taxes on 2 streets. And you still guys can't come up with the money to repair the roads. But we could go out and buy new fire trucks, new ambulance, this and that and everything else. Yes, we need fire protection, police protection and everything. But I'll say you're overspending what you got. You only got 26,000 some hundred people in this state, in this city. It has not changed since I've been here. And I think it's a shame that you're going to ask the people, put it on the ballot, for $30 million for the roads, where you guys already should have the money to do that with. And I'm like everybody else. It's a shame that you have to go down the street and dodge potholes. Yes, you could put a quick patch on it now, but you should repair. You should have enough money. You said you paved the roads for 71 miles. 71 miles ain't very much in all this time. So you guys ought to be ashamed of yourself. And when you get in that special meeting and everything, you ought to figure out how to come up with this money without putting it on the ballot for $30 million, which you already got seeded, that you think you need to repair all the roads. So just stop and think about that. And I'm glad you turned the intercom on. Thank you.
What's your address, sir?
Pardon?
What's your address?
1532 Calmore Drive.
Would anyone else care to come and address the Xenia City Council this evening, please? Thank you. We will move to old business then. Our first item under old business is Resolution 2018-G, a second reading, which is establishing a streetlight district number 2 within the Sterling Green Crossing subdivision and declaring the necessity of improving city streets and public ways within street lighting district number 2 by the lighting thereof for the years 2019 to 2022. I originally introduced this item on the 22nd of February and would move for its passage at this time. Is there a second, please?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilman Smith. Any discussion or question on the motion, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye. Thank
Motion
you.
carried.
At this time, we would have public hearings, but there are none scheduled this evening, so we will move to our new business items. The first is Ordinance 2018-09, an introduction, establishing a 15-minute loading and unloading zone and authorizing the erection of loading-unloading zones in front of Xenia Preschool at 425 Edison Boulevard. Mr. City Manager, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Staff presents Ordinance 2018-09 for Council's consideration this evening based on a recommendation from the Xenia Traffic Commission, which met and considered this matter on February 5th. A concern was raised within the Traffic Commission that options should be reviewed to look at providing a safe drop-off zone for parents walking their preschool-aged children to and from the parking lot that surrounds the Xenia Preschool at 425 Addison Boulevard. Despite a prohibition of parking in front of the school, currently cars are being left unattended for extensive periods of time during drop-off and pickup hours on a daily basis. Given the conditions associated with the intersection at Edison and Park Drive, this creates a concerning line-of-sight problem. The Commission wanted to provide a convenience for drop-off and pickup, but does not want to exacerbate the safety conditions by allowing extended parking. Therefore, the Traffic Commission recommends the establishment of a 15-minute loading-unloading zone to prevent parents from parking in front of the school entrance for an extensive period of time. City Engineer and Police Division will determine the most appropriate locations for the erection of the necessary signs that identify the new zones. It should be noted that staff is concerned with frankly, the inefficiency of the current legislative requirement to have to bring these types of parking issues back through the extensive legislative process of having to have an ordinance approved by council. So this evening, we obviously are going to, recommend the introduction of the legislation, but I think we'll probably be coming back at some point in the future, recommending some changes to our procedures in terms of designation of parking. And allow that to run through the public safety with some advisory from the Traffic Commission. Again, just trying to use your time valuably, but putting up a 15-minute parking zone and taking up the necessary time to do an ordinance just doesn't seem like an effective use of your time. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that point. But again, staff would recommend the introduction of the ordinance tonight.
Thank you very much. May I have an introduction from one of my colleagues, please? Introduced by Councilman Dean. Thank you. Next item is Resolution 2018-H, seeking an introduction, amending Appendix 2 of the Employee Benefits Manual, non-union wage ranges of the City of Xenia, Ohio. Mr. City Manager, please.
On behalf of our Administrative Steering Committee, which includes the 3 appointed officials as well as the Clerk of Courts, it's recommended the City Council introduce Resolution 2018-H, which would amend the city's non-union pay grade wage schedule. The city annually evaluates and considers adjustments to the compensation plan. The last adjustment to pay ranges was in March of 2017. Recently, our Administrative Steering Committee met to discuss the wage adjustment options for non-union staff for 2018. As a core metric, we looked at the Consumer Price Index, the CPI, from December of 16 through December of this past year, 2017, which rose 2.1%. With this metric in mind, the committee then specifically considered the city's financial position and comparison data from other comparable communities as listed in the agenda report as the key factors before coming to a consensus to recommend an adjustment of 2% to the wage ranges. Approving this resolution only adjusts the wage ranges. Individual non-union pay adjustments will be made on a case-by-case merit basis. Administrative leadership recommends Council introduce the resolution this evening for consideration.
Thank you very much. May I have an introduction from one of my colleagues, please?
Mr. President, I'll move to introduce this. I did try to reach the city manager today. I wanted to ask about it because recently we've moved on the fire and police, and the fire, if I remember correctly, was like 2.5%, and police was 2.75%, and the non-union personnel is going to be less, 0.5% and 0.75% less than the union personnel, and I wanted to hear the rationale for that.
Yeah, I think a good clarification, and I'll let Ryan
Yeah,
jump
so
in.
the fire was actually 2.25 is what they had agreed to dispatch, 2.25 as well. And the sergeants and captains were also at 2.25. We're still in the middle of the negotiations with the police officers, so that's not settled yet. But all the other contracts were at 2.25 in each of the 3 years.
I think another important consideration that's I think a lot of folks don't quite understand in all of this, through our union contracts, if you are an employee that's within the first, usually 5 to 10 years, you annually are eligible for step increases of certain percentages. So when you think about those increases that you mentioned with those respective bargaining units, that's just for a cost of living adjustment. Many of those employees will also get the step increases, so their actual adjustment year to year will be more than the numbers that we just cited. With respect to our non-union, there's no guaranteed step increases. It's really essentially a merit base. What all this legislation does essentially is move the wage range itself by 2%. As to whether or not any non-union employee gets any type of increase, it really comes back to, do they deserve it? And if so, it has to be within the budgeted amount that council has approved as part of our overall personnel budget.
Okay.
Thank you. So introduced by the Vice President, please. Thank you. Our next item is an administrative motion authorizing the city manager to purchase a combination sewer cleaner through the State of Ohio Department of Administrative Services Cooperative Purchasing Program. Mr. City Manager, please.
One second here as I get my papers in order. This evening, staff is requesting an administrative motion to authorize the purchase of a what we call a vac truck, a combination sewer cleaner, in an amount not to exceed $373,404.41 from our state cooperative purchasing program. Our sewer vac truck is an essential piece of equipment. We use it to ensure that we're providing proper maintenance for our both our sanitary as well as our storm sewer system. The current unit that we have is a model year 2010. In addition to increasing maintenance cost on that unit, we're also seeing an increased lack of reliability with the unit. And again, this is a piece of equipment that we utilize on a daily basis, and particularly in storm events, heavy excessive rainfall events, we go out and have to proactively ensure that we are doing some of the vacuuming of the sewers to ensure that we do not have any sanitary sewer overflows. We are under regulations as promulgated by the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency to ensure that we manage that sewer system without any of these SSO, these sanitary sewer overflows. So having this piece of equipment is an essential, critical piece of equipment for our operations. What staff is essentially proposing in this is that we would purchase the new unit, which would be used on a day-to-day basis for the sanitary sewer, which is our most critical concern. We would keep the old unit in place to serve as a backup, but we would also use that older unit on a more periodic basis to enhance our maintenance efforts in our storm sewer. This gives us the ability that if that primary unit goes down for some reason and we do have a significant rain event, that we've got a backup. So again, tonight we would request authorization to move forward with that purchase. Again, it was in our 5-year CIP, and it is included in this year's budget.
Thank you very much.
Do we have the capacity to do in-house maintenance on?
To a certain extent, there are components with this equipment that we do occasionally have to shop out. It's just too advanced for the capabilities of our staff. Most of the preventative maintenance that you would have on your typical fleet, we try to do in-house. But again, some of the specific vacuum components, we just don't have the capability of providing that maintenance. It should also be noted that I know one of the conversations that we had was, well, do we really need a backup? Could we just rent one if our primary unit went down? And the answer really is you can if it's available. But there just are not very many rental services out there for this type of equipment, and chances are good if you need it, someone else is needing it too. So.
Right.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please, to authorize the city manager to purchase the item?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Lauterbach. Second, please.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scrivens. Any further discussion or question on the motion, please? Thank you, and I guess I would add, Mr. City Manager, for a sanitary sewer to back up, we would incur, obviously, significant oversight and potentially fines from that enterprise if we were to fall out of compliance. So, although a costly piece of equipment, it is excellent preventative maintenance for the city as well.
Plus it maintains sanitation.
Roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach?
Aye.
Councilman Smith?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Engel?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Another administrative motion. This one authorizes the city manager to execute a contract for the government electric aggregation program. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, sir. Staff is recommending this evening that council authorize the city manager to execute a contract with either AEP Energy, First Energy, or Dynegy for electric aggregation services as a part of the city's approved community electric aggregation program. As council is aware, we have been pursuing options regarding a new service contract for electric generation services, and based on our initial RFP results, there seems to be an opportunity to achieve a better aggregate rate based on the current price to compare. In order to position the city for the best possible rate and in conjunction with our consultant, Palmer Energy, it is necessary to request a price refresh on generation bids from the 3 providers mentioned previously. Upon requesting the refresh and receiving quotes, this city will essentially have less than 1 day in which to commit to the refreshed price quote. Therefore, the exact contract rate cannot be presented to City Council this evening. Staff's requesting the authority to commit to a contract on the basis that a rate savings must be present and that the terms and conditions of said contract would be approved by the law director. The city is not obligated to accept any of the refresh bids. If the refresh bids do not present a clear savings, staff would then reissue an RFP at a future date. Our current generation service contract doesn't expire until May, so we do have sufficient time to accommodate these contingencies should we need to face them.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion, please, to authorize the city manager to execute the contract?
So moved.
Moved by the Vice President. Second, please.
Second.
Seconded by the Mayor. Discussion or question on this motion, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach?
Aye.
Councilman Smith?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Engel?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I would just add that as we execute that process, the refresh bids, either myself or the Assistant City Manager will keep council abreast of what the outcome of that is and then where we stand in the process.
Thank you very much. Our next item is also an administrative motion, not from the city manager this time, approving the schedule of bills in the amount of $188,286.69. Mr. Finance Director, any details to add before we?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Nothing
May I
to
have a
add.
motion, please, to pay our bills this evening?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Lauterbach. Second, please.
Second that.
Seconded by Councilman Smith. Any discussion or question on any of the specific bills, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach?
Aye.
Councilman Smith?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Engel?
Aye.
Motion carried.
And our final item under new business is an administrative motion, rejection of bids for the 2018 sewer pipeline rehabilitation project. Back to you, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, sir. Staff is recommending this evening that City Council reject bids for our 2018 sewer pipelines rehabilitation project. Subsequent to opening bids for the project, it was brought to the attention of the City Engineering Division that there were some discrepancies in the bidding documents that may have resulted in inequities in determining the lowest and best bid. In the bid documents, the city specifically reserves the right to reject any and all bids, and consequently, in order to ensure a fair bidding process, our engineering division believes that it is appropriate that the bids should be rejected. If council rejects the bids this evening, staff will make the necessary adjustments and rebid the slip lining project. We'll return to council at a later date with a recommendation for an award of bid. As I mentioned to you just prior to starting this evening, we did make copies of the correspondence that we received from one of the bidders. The law director has since had some correspondence with them. I don't think there's an issue there, but they did request that we provide these to you, so I want to make you aware. This is actually information that came from the lowest bidder, correct? Again, you know, I don't know why they wouldn't be the lowest bidder next time around, but we'll go through the process and see. But again, we wanted to make you aware of what they requested So these are collated, just take one off. I think there's more than enough here for everyone, so. But if you do have any questions on, any of this, I certainly can answer it.
Thank you. While we're passing those out, may I have a motion, please, to reject the bids?
So moved. Second.
By Councilman Latterback and seconded by the Vice President. As we get these out, I would entertain any discussion or question on the motion, please. Do any of my colleagues have any questions on the materials just passed out, or any other question on the motion, please? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace?
I think I don't read quite swiftly, but
Councilman
on the
Scrivens?
recommendation of the city manager, I'll vote aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
I'm going to abstain until I know more about it, till I have a chance to go over it.
Councilman Louderback?
Aye.
Councilman Smith?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Engel?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Mr. President,
Yes.
now, if after we've rejected this bid, where are we?
Mr. City Manager, I believe we will go out to rebid the item with all the discrepancies
The RFPs.
cleared up.
Okay.
Yeah, there
And
were.
we'll certainly make the
New process.
previous bidders aware of.
And just to clarify, we have a pretty good track record with our bidding process, and we've actually been working with the law director to make some adjustments to the overall process to ensure that, we're doing everything by the book. And I think we can demonstrate some pretty good success in getting the lowest and best bids. With this particular incident, there were really two issues that arose. One was there was just a discrepancy in, again, some of the documentation, the qualifications. And there was a specific issue with regard to an addendum that was sent out. And we had the email contacts for all of the different bidders,
Yeah,
so that if there were addenda, that we would send those out to those bidders. Well, apparently, there was an error in inputting the email address. The email went out to one of the bidders. It was delivered, but it went to the wrong person. So they technically did not get that addendum in time, and therefore potentially subjected them to a non-performance of the bid specs.
Wow.
So it's a small error and a minor oversight, but we want to do it by the book, which is why we're requesting that, that the bids be rejected, and we'll go back through the process again.
In that case, Mr. President, I'd like to revise my abstention and vote aye.
Thank you. So noted. That is the last item on our new business for this evening. We now have reports of committees. First, the Board of Zoning Appeals. Mayor Mays, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Board of Zoning Appeals met Monday, February 26th. We met to hear a request for a variance to allow an existing sign installed with a permit to remain without complying with the minimum required 5-foot setback from the street right-of-way, filed by Conrad Klink on behalf of the Community Action Partnership for the property located at 469 Dayton Avenue. That request was denied. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything for the Board of Zoning Appeals and Mayor Mays, please? Seeing none, the next item is the Board for Recreation, Arts, and Cultural Activities, which I have a report on. That met on February the 6th, or excuse me, met on March the 6th. I'm looking at the agenda from February 6th where I have my notes. We have several items coming up. Right now, the Youth Basketball League continues to go on and will be concluding shortly. This upcoming Saturday at Benner Fieldhouse will be the last regular season games. And the tournament for that will begin on the next Saturday and then the Saturday following. So you have 3 additional weeks to go out and watch our youth, both boys and girls, play basketball. I go out there to watch some of the young people play. It's very entertaining watching them, and it's great exercise for them, and a good program that has been well run by a particular individual who sat on BRCA for a number of years. So my thanks to BRCA and to the gentleman for running the program, and I would encourage all of you to go and watch our youth play some good sporting basketball. Following that, we have the annual Easter egg hunt scheduled for March the 31st. Easter is actually on April the 1st, so just the day before. I do have the, if we can zoom in on this, the brochure for it, which is being posted around the city in various areas, pointing out the way in which it will be done, the age ranges that it will be done for at Shawnee Park. It will begin at 10 a.m. People always show up well before that to begin registering, but the actual event will begin at 10 a.m. There will be obviously the Easter egg hunt for different age groups, followed by a basket giveaway from baskets donated from various persons and businesses in our community. If you would like to participate in that, either by bringing your children or grandchildren to hunt for eggs, you're very welcome as well to donate a basket for that particular activity, and that would be much appreciated. And I'm just reminded as well that the Easter Bunny will be there. So if you desire to, oh, I see it there as well. That was hiding in the green egg. The Easter Bunny will be there, has been there for many years. My wife and I even had our picture taken with the Easter Bunny. Please come out and enjoy and wish the Easter Bunny a happy Easter and have your picture taken and enjoy hopefully what will be a great day for Xenia's children as they collect some eggs. Then the last item that I have for a report this evening is an upcoming Arbor Day event, which will be Friday, April 27th. That will be from 10 to 11:30. It will be at Shawnee School. The tree committee will be, from BRCA, will be helping out with that and helping to teach our school children that are there, as well as any others that attend, about the proper planting of trees and the importance of trees in our community. While the event will run from 10 to 11:30, they will be actually planting a tree in the Shawnee School area at 10:45, and that will be a great event as well if you would like to come. And they actually invite people to participate in helping to fill in the hole if you're so inclined to do that. And that is all I have from BRCA. There are many other events coming up, but BRCA will be discussing those further, and I'll be bringing those back to you in a later month. Any questions for either myself or about BRCA, please? Seeing none, we will move to the Traffic Commission. Councilman Dean, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. We at the Traffic Commission, we met March 5th, 2018, and we had two items to discuss. One was brought up by Councilman Scrivens, the lights that are turned to flashing when the weather is bad on Bellbrook and Allison, and then also North Detroit and Wilson. And it was a recommendation of staff to keep those lights the way they are, to not turn them permanently to flashing yellow and red, because of on Allison there's semis that have to turn left there, and it would be hard for them to turn left if there was a flashing light with oncoming traffic. And on Wilson, because of their blockages of the line of sight. So the Traffic Commission declined to recommend that to council. And then the other option, the other item was changing the speed limit from 35 to 25 on Main Street and between Church Street and Dayton Avenue. That was also not recommended to council because in order to do that, there would have to be a study done, and that's not appropriated in the budget. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Any questions, please? Seeing none, Planning and Zoning's March meeting was canceled. Anything to add?
No, sir.
Councilman Smith?
No.
Any questions for Planning and Zoning, please? Seeing none, we will move to reports from our appointed officials and council comments. First, our appointed officials, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, sir. I do have a number of items that I wanted to provide updates on this evening. First, we've received several complaints regarding changes to the Green Cats stop located here in Town Square. I want to first state that the city is not responsible for this change. Let me give you a little bit of background. We received a notice from Blue Rock Incorporated, which is the owner of the building out there in the Town Square and the leaseholder for the property in a contract with the city. They stipulated that they wanted the bus stop removed and that no future actual bus stop services be provided at that location. We were a little taken aback by this. After review by the law director, it was determined that they did have the right to request that the bus stop shelter, which resides on a portion of property they lease, would have to be removed, but they did not have the right necessarily to indicate what happened in the throughway there in terms of a bus stop. Subsequent to that, it was determined by Green Cats to adjust their pickup drop-off location so it's just on the edge of the parking lot. So a number of folks have complained about this, and I think rightfully so. It's not an ideal arrangement. We have been working with Green Cats, our planning department has, to look at alternatives. And so we've identified an alternative location that prospectively would be north of the town square along Church Street. We're working with Green Cats to hopefully put in a grant application that would allow for funds to be able to put a drop-off lane. So we'd add an additional small portion of a lane on Church Street that would allow buses to be able to pull over, have a standing permanent shelter there for a new bus stop. It's comparable in terms of location with the current stop, but we would be putting this in dedicated city right-of-way, so it's something that would be there permanently, and we wouldn't have to deal with these types of issues in the future. So again, we regret any inconvenience. It's not caused by the city. We are certainly trying to work to help to rectify the situation, though. So, and I think Councilman Dean had reached out to us. He had gotten some contact on the matter too. So again, we are trying to provide a solution there. I'm very, very excited this evening to give council a little update. I was pleased this past week to be joined by a couple of our staff members and former Mayor Marsha Bayless as invitees to the YMCA's annual awards banquet and benefit. This was last week in Dayton at the Ponnet Center at Sinclair. We were invited to attend to accept on behalf of the city the YMCA's President's Award. I can do this without breaking it. President's Award for distinguished leadership for the Reach Center project. And I have to be honest, it was a really exciting night for the city of Xenia because so much of the evening's festivities and the recognitions revolved around this Reach project and how impactful this project is going to be in our community. An opportunity to provide workforce development, expansion of healthcare, better senior services, new recreational services, post-secondary educational courses here in town. It's just a really great project. And the best part is that so much of the funding was brought in from outside resources, particularly a lot of foundations in Montgomery County. So very, very excited for this, very, very humbled by the acknowledgement. Again, accepted on behalf of not just our staff, but on behalf of all of you as well for your leadership in the process. Kettering Health Network was also recognized for their leadership role in this effort. And there are so many folks we could thank, but folks that come to mind like Perk Reichley, who led the fundraising effort for the project, really just distinguished themselves as truly compassionate, caring citizens for our community. So again, just wanted to bring some acknowledgement to that this evening and let you know that we accepted that award. Next.
Before we leave that thought, Mr. City Manager,
Sure.
I actually came across our director of the YMCA last night by chance and asked him, so what's new? He said, looking forward to breaking ground, which do you have the dates and such for that?
We do not have the specific date, but it actually relates to the next topic I was going to bring up.
Sorry, I'm just your straight man this evening.
Well, you're keeping me on task and on time. The next item related to that, I think qualifies under the price of progress, and in this case, literally progress. Of course, the Reach Center will be located on Progress Drive, or off of Progress Drive. We don't have a specific date, but we are expecting about the third or fourth week of this month that you'd begin to see, or no later than that point, you begin to see dirt being moved out of the site. That, of course, will be in part weather contingent. I'm going to move this because I can't see all of you. Feel a little odd. The Reach project will, of course, increase traffic, and unfortunately, that's going to occur about the same time that we will be starting a rehabilitation project on Progress Drive. Progress is a highly, highly utilized commercial route in our community. It is in very, very bad shape. It's not the only road in bad shape, but we actually submitted a grant request about 3 years ago for funding on this roadway. We were awarded that grant, so we have that in the queue this year to start that rehabilitation. So I wanted to give folks a fair warning tonight that we will be commencing with that project later this month. We'll be taking some steps to make sure that we are making the public aware of what to expect out there. I know lots of folks use that roadway on a daily basis. During the daytime hours, we will be lane restricted. So there'll be traffic control in place for maintenance of traffic, but again, there will be some restrictions on the flow of traffic. At night, we'll open up both lanes, but there will be plates that'll be placed. So folks should plan ahead. We are taking steps, working with the construction crew for the Reach Center to provide an alternate access point for construction off of Hospitality Drive. But again, folks should expect for probably about a 2-month period, there's going to be some congestion, some delays out there. It is a necessary evil as we try to get this roadway repaired that everyone uses. So again, just wanted to give you and the community a heads up on that one. Wanted to point out that we are looking at prospectively a work session before our next regular session on the 22nd. Just wanted to give you an update that we're looking at 3 specific topics to be discussed there. One would be downtown parking. I know you're all very excited about that conversation. Second would be related to the use of park space for special events. And the last one would be seeking some direction on the alcohol use at city festivals. So we need to follow up on that. Just finally then tonight, I'll wrap it up and be quiet. This past week, there were a couple of staff members, Michelle Johnson included, our city clerk, who were invited to attend services for former mayor and councilwoman, the late Pat Felton. I just have tremendous respect for Pat. She was a beloved member of the community. When I first started with the city a number of years ago now, I was introduced by the then city manager, and Pat, I think, was the council president at the time, and she looked at me and she said, "Heck, I got grandkids older than you." You know, I don't think Pat liked me very much the first year or two that I was with the city. You know, you're not from here. Do you even care about the city? And I think as I got to know Pat and respected her wisdom, her compassion, her care that she had for this community, she understood that this is more than a job for me. It was about doing what's right for people. We began to develop a relationship of mutual respect. And when I became city manager, I would occasionally call Pat and say, "What's the history on this? What do you think about that?" I wish I'd have done that more, because now that resource isn't here anymore. But she was a beloved member of the council and the community, full of a spark of energy. She wouldn't let Dale get away with anything. But I know that Dale and all of us had just tremendous respect for her and for her love for the community. So she's dearly missed, but her service is absolutely acknowledged, and I just appreciate her. That's it.
Thank you very much. Anything for our city manager, please?
Yeah, just a couple things, Brent. Is it Black Rock?
Blue Rock.
Where did I get Black Rock? So it starts with a B. But anyway, I'm very disappointed in them. There's a lot of our senior citizens and disabled people that use that stop. Matter of fact, I think every council member up there would love to see a grocery store downtown. But Family Dollar has extended a lot of their staples, but there's still a lot of them citizens that have to travel. So I'm disappointed in the company. But also Progress Drive.
Yeah.
As you may or may not know, I'm the council representative at MVRPC. MVRPC dollars are not easy to get. And once you get a proposal, you don't want to turn them down unless it's maybe a 50-50 match. But Progress Drive, have you thought about, there's going to be a lot of heavy equipment going up and down that road. I know it's in deplorable condition now, but do we want to repave that and have a new street with all the heavy equipment? I know we've got time constraints, but has anybody thought about?
We did, and and I should also point out that before fully committing to the project, we did a traffic study looking at the potential implications of the Reach Center, what it would do in terms of traffic volume, to understand that before we made these repairs, do we need to look at any other traffic control measures? Do we need to add any lanes and so forth? So we've kind of mapped out a set of steps that if we reach in the future additional traffic levels, that we'll have to adjust that. I would say to your specific concern, the timeline for the Reach Center construction is very aggressive. They are planning to be open January of 19, which means most of the heavy construction will be done over the course of the summer, almost in conjunction with this project. So I think a lot of their heavy construction will be over or done in conjunction with this. We were concerned about putting new pavement or, taking these steps with all of that construction. But again, as I said, a lot of that traffic, we're actually going to gear down Hospitality to a separate construction entrance that'll be placed off of Hospitality.
And when's the hotel scheduled to open?
That's frustrating as well. They have pushed back their opening to June, and they have indicated to us that the specific reason that they are having troubles getting finished is a lack of skilled labor. They're having trouble finding construction workers to finish out specifically drywall. Been really delayed with some drywall work, so they're looking at early June.
Yeah, and while I'm on the MVRPC, there's a lot of people upset with me because I support the roundabout. It's an 80-20 match. I think the $900,000 is coming from MVRPC, and not all of our monies, correct me, I brought this up last meeting, but for the public, the leftover monies, our match, can they be geared to pave our streets?
So, yes. I mean, the short answer is yes, and I do understand that the timing of this project is bad because it's coming right now, when we do have all these needs in our community relative to the street needs. I think it's important to note we started this project really 5 years ago with the prior city manager looking at alternatives and options. The grant application that we made came 3-4 years ago. We were awarded, I think. So this is, these grant, as you know, Councilman Lauterbach, these grant programs through MVRPC are many years in the making. They are highly competitive. And we have a great return on our investment. And so I do understand the frustration that people have. And this is addressing a safety issue. It's providing a new enhancement in the community. So the short answer is yes, to an extent, those dollars could be programmed for other purposes. But again, the opportunity to leverage about 3-to-1 our investment for those grant funding is a good opportunity.
And once you turn down those grant dollars, it's going to go to somebody else.
And you're
going to go to the bottom of the list next time around. So. I understand some people's frustration, but it's, if I understand, it's the #2 traffic hazard in the city.
Yeah, it's one of our most dangerous intersections.
That's our safety. We have to be concerned with the safety of our citizens. And #2, the aesthetics, that's going to really look, I mean, it's really going to look good. So that's why I get paid the big bucks. I support it, but thank you.
Anything else for our city manager, please? Mr. Finance Director.
Thank you, Council President. Just a couple things to note. We talked at the last meeting about House Bill 49 and some of its impacts to the city and income tax collection. Reported that as of the last meeting, we had received requests from 6 businesses to participate in that program and to go through the Ohio Business Gateway for the filing of their taxes. The deadline was the end of February. We actually received around 50 applications from businesses. So again, not a huge percentage of our businesses, but still it's dollars, fees that we're going to pay for this to the state for preparation of those returns, and we lose any ability to audit those 50 returns. So wanted to keep council up to date on what impact that may be having to us here as a city. Also along the lines of income tax, we are starting to become a little more busy in the income tax office, but we do prepare city returns free of charge. So if there are some residents who would like assistance in preparing their city return, it's better to come in here within the next couple weeks than to wait until we're closer to the filing deadline when it will really be a longer wait to have that return prepared. So I encourage people to come in. Again, your city return, not your federal, not your state, but your city return. If you'd like assistance with preparation of that, we do that free of charge. And that's all I've got.
Thank you. Anything for our finance director, please? We haven't asked anything of you, Madam Law Director. Do you have anything for us this evening?
I have nothing for you this evening.
Anything for our Law Director this evening, please? Seeing none, we will move to council comments. Councilman Lauterbach, please.
Thank you, Mr.
Sorry, excuse me. It says I have to go to the mayor first. Mayor?
Sorry.
I'm following the script.
Settle in for a few minutes. Thank you, Mr. President. It's been a busy couple of weeks. Friday, February 23rd, I had the honor of being one of the science fair judges along with Mr. Saraga, and I just wanted to, this was for our freshmen at the Xenia High School. I wanted to congratulate the freshmen. They did a great job. The projects that I got to be a part of judging, they were very, very interesting. That same day, the 23rd, I had the opportunity to host several of the area mayors as well as Senator Hackett, and we ate lunch at Nick's, and Nick's was delightful. We had a great time. We had some really good discussion, so I was very proud of our city. They were also surprised at how busy it was. It was packed, and we could hardly hear each other, so I was very pleased. Saturday the 24th was the Xenia Chamber Awards dinner. I had the opportunity to start our evening with prayer, and I just wanted to thank the Chamber for inviting me to do that. That's a lot of fun. Sunday the 25th was the Senior Center's Day of Caring, their pancake breakfast. The kids and I got up and went to have pancakes before church, and we had a good time eating pancakes. And then that afternoon was the area Eagle Scout recognition luncheon. And I wanted to specifically mention there was 4 from Xenia that I got to meet. Jacob Stickle, Mason Nash, Christopher Karhoff, and Jonathan Karhoff all had recognition for being Eagle Scouts. And it was really neat to hear about their projects and see what they had done. And congratulations. On Thursday, March 1st, I had the opportunity to participate in Read Across America, Dr. Seuss's birthday. I read some books at the Cox Elementary to a couple of second grade classes. We read Dr. Seuss. They made me read Fox and Socks, and it was a disaster, and we laughed, and we had a lot of fun. On Sunday, March 3rd, I had the opportunity to participate at Dr. Wallace's church for the Rolling of the Scrolls ceremony. It was a beautiful Sunday. It was a very moving Sunday, and I want to personally thank him for inviting me to be a part of that. On Wednesday, March 7th, yesterday, I had an opportunity to be one of the volunteers along with other city staff members to volunteer at One Bistro. On Wednesday evenings, they provide a free meal to the community, and the city participated in a fundraiser over Christmas to raise money to pay for that meal. And it was out of people's pockets of their own just choosing, and so then they asked for volunteers to actually serve the meal, and different staff members came throughout, Xenia PD, some of our dispatch, and we just had a great time being there, talking with people, washing dishes, serving. I got to cut desserts and serve them. Everybody wants to be the dessert lady, so I was very pleased with that job. And then today, I had the opportunity to speak at Women in Business, and it was a really neat luncheon. I just wanted to note, especially after a day like today, we talked a lot about what it means to serve and what it means to serve with your whole life. What does it mean to talk about why be involved in your community? What does it mean to put your pride aside, to sacrifice of yourself? And as I was thinking about that today and speaking about that, it really applied even tonight. I'm excited when people give feedback, good or bad. It's good to listen. It's good to hear it. And I wanted to thank people, especially when they come with solutions and being solution-oriented. That's what serving is about. And if we can work together as a community, put ourselves aside, put our pride aside, and have grace with each other, it's a beautiful thing, and it was a good afternoon. And then right before I came here, I was able to stop by KeyBank for business after hours, and they had a great spread. I believe Nick's again, they provided the food, and it was a lot of fun. So that's my 2 weeks.
You missed one important item, though.
I have no idea.
You made quite an impression on the Read Across America children, as I recall. And I think you were given a new title in the city as well.
Yes, I'm Queen of Xenia. Thank
Queen
you.
of Xenia!
I was quite pleased with that title.
No, that's right. Rightfully so.
They did it, not me. But I accepted it happily. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Latterbeck, please.
It's okay if I talk, Mayor?
The Queen, yes, please. Queen, yes. You may speak now.
Just kidding. I just want to comment briefly on the streets. I mean, it's great to see the audience tonight. Most council meetings, we have 1 or 2 people. Mm-hmm. You have to get involved in your city. You have to get involved. And we're here to represent you. Like Mayor Saraga said, we have 25,000 bosses, and that's you, the people. So it's great to see you come, get involved. And I concur with most of the mayors. I'm not a tax and spender. I would not support a tax levy, but if If the people want to put it on the ballot, let the people decide. Just because I don't support it, I'm one person, let the people decide. So, I'm not a big fan of borrowing money, but if we don't have a tax levy, I mean, that's one of the big options. And I'm looking forward to the meeting we have coming up. And we're not sitting on our hands. We realize that you, the citizens, streets are probably your #1 priority. And we have been working on it, believe it or not. And we're going to come up with solutions soon. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilman Smith, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pardon me, I'm a little under the weather, but I too like to give my condolences to family and friends of Pat Felton. Didn't serve very long with her, just the first year when I came on board in 2010, and she was our council president that year, and very, very fun. And then I would ask her questions periodically. I know Councilwoman Mills and her had a very good relationship, and many times when I would stop to drop off like tomatoes or something at Pat, Jeannie was usually there. So, so my heart goes out to her family. And I too would like to thank the citizens for being here tonight. Those that are watching, Mayor Saraga, thank you very much for coming forward tonight. Thank you for coming forward in a solution that is not debatable but not argumentative. I think the last thing we need is negativity on social media, and it's sad that it's so easy to vent frustration on Facebook when you're behind a monitor. But if you can sit down with people face to face, you find out that we have a lot in common. And like Councilman Louderback joked tonight, we make the big bucks, but we actually make very little. We do this to serve the community. We don't do it for any other reason, but for our love of Xenia. We too ride the streets. We too hit the same potholes. It's a subject we brought up many times, and it's a budgetary constraint issue. I just think the last couple, 2-3 years of some really bad winters have compounded that situation to make it much worse. It almost seems like when we have a lot of snow removal, those plows, forgive me if I'm inaccurate, but anytime those drop down and they hit something, something's going to give. And unfortunately, it's the concrete and the curbs that are getting bashed up because of snow. So we try to remove those best we can. But again, we are very cognizant of this as an issue, and we'll do everything we can to do this without any kind of tax increase. Again, I don't like to pay taxes either, but I also want to have a community that we can be proud of. So with that being said, thank you very much. I'm also very excited about the REACH project. I think that's just a boost in the arm for our community. And of course, the timing couldn't be worse, but it's always a give and take. So again, as construction goes forward with that, please be patient when there's traffic issue. And I know that'll probably create some issues with busing and that type of thing too. But in the long run, it's worth it. So again, thank you very much.
Councilman Scriven, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. And ladies and gentlemen of the city of Xenia, thank you for all of the people who came tonight because you are concerned. And the more you're concerned, the quicker we can get action on foot. I want to thank our elder statesman, former Mayor John Saraga. Glad to have you, sir. Come back again. Bring a posse with you again. And maybe we can get this ball rolling. We just thank everybody who takes an active role in their local government. This is where government, the rubber meets the road, right here tonight. This is us. We have to make it happen. All of us in this room. We're a committee of the whole, pretty much. Not only Mr. Saraga, but Mr. Haller and Ms. Larson, Mr. Harbison. We love hearing what you guys have to say. Mm-hmm. Don't feel bashful about giving us a call. Our numbers are publicly listed. Mm-hmm. Don't feel bashful about giving us an email. We want to hear what you say. And only through that can we make what I call informed decisions. you know. People have spoken about the roundabout, good or bad. Well, it's a good thing. Number one, the state's paying 80% of it. If the state's paying me 80% of anything, I'm taking it. Kasich took our money a long time ago. We're just getting some of it back, folks. Okay, so, I mean, he supplied his rainy day fund with money from the cities. I had the good fortune this past interim between the meetings to meet with our water treatment people. Xenia has excellent water. The quality is excellent. Our water treatment guys are very knowledgeable. And every time you turn on that tap to get a drink of water, that water's been in our pipeline for just about a year, don't you know? I didn't know that either. The structures at the top of East Market Street, there was one that's the second oldest structure in the United States built by the steel workers. And that's the middle standpipe that we have. And, of course, we're not going to ever tear it down. It's empty right now. But it was built in 1887. There's only one other one that was built in 1886 that's older than the one that we have. So we have something to be proud about. Our public relations director, Mr. Warren, has a job in front of him extolling the virtues of our beloved hometown. We have a lot of good things going on here. And I personally, I got a chance to take a ride with our development director, Mr. Brodsky. And he kind of took me on a chauffeured tour of our industrial park. And you would be quite surprised to know that the level and the type of industries that we have going on here in Xenia. We have a good mix of a lot of things. High tech, low tech, mid tech. There's a lot of good things going on, and I've lived in Xenia all my life except the time I was away from school, and I learned a lot this week. So I challenge every citizen to do as I've done in the last couple of weeks. Listen to what your neighbors and friends are saying, and then try to apply that in making a policy that's going to let us all live a little better. And that's the name of the game, is our quality of life. And we like it here. And that's why we stay here. That's why we do what we do, because we like it. So Mayor and Ken and Peggy and Robert, thank you. Thanks again. Come again, please. Mr. President, one final item. I gotten a communication from the Xenia Professional Firefighters, and they're going to have a thing on the 28th of September over at Wright Pat where they want the elected officials to come and participate, and they said they have room for 5 participants. So I'm asking my council colleagues if I could be a participant to represent you in this endeavor. It's a type of thing where said, we'd like you to participate, and yada-da. It says, if you don't want to participate, we encourage you to be observant. And it's a one-day thing, learning about what the fire and EMS people do in times of emergency and disaster. And that's one of my research interests, so my colleagues will allow me, I will RSVP and join this action. Other than that, Mr. President, I'm looking forward to meeting with the Wellhead Protection Committee in terms of our drinking water. I'm looking forward again to meeting with our Academic Advisory Board out at the Career Center. I understand that they're going to host all of the Chamber of Commerce's in Greene County here coming up. And that'll be a good thing to meet some of the other elected officials around the county and see what we can come up with. You never know what God has for you when you walk out your door unless you step out there on faith. So I believe in Xenia. I believe that we can get better and better and better. And as long as I'm going to be here, that's what my goal will be. Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Councilman Dean.
Well, first I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Mr. Serrar coming out and presenting that. Like everyone has said, and it's going to sound like a broken record, but we're well aware of the street issues, and I'm looking forward to the session to be presented to work on it. I will say that I am against and ran against opposing all tax increases, and that is still my stance. And I gave my word, so that's the word that I'm going to stick to. And that's it.
Okay. Mr. Vice President.
I did want to thank the mayor for her participation in the rolling of the scroll at First United Christian Church on Sunday, and she did a beautiful job singing "Near My God to Thee," as well as the other participants who were there. We really appreciated that. the former mayor, was also there. She read scripture. She didn't sing for us, so she just read. Mayor Saraga and all of the guests that were here tonight, we appreciate your presence and your input. We always love to have audience participation and audience input. Mr. City Manager, please let us have some advance notice when the Reach groundbreaking is going to be. I'd love to try to get there if we can.
Just a reminder, it is by invitation next week, and you, of course, are all invited, so we'll send out a reminder of that. I think it's Wednesday. I'm getting nods from Mr. Warren. It's Wednesday, so that is by invitation because only because it's at the Senior Center, which is fairly limited on space. It was put in the paper today that the public is invited. However, if you don't have an invite, you will not be able to get in just simply because the space is limited. So they made an error in the paper. But again, we'll send a reminder out to all of you.
Okay. But we are among the invited, aren't we?
Correct. Yes. We insisted on that.
I would hope that we're among the invited, given anyway. But again, Mayor Saraga, we particularly would like to see you here on next Thursday with your good ideas about the funding of the streets. I would like to particularly say with the roundabout, we got this letter, this email from a person who indicated that she had been through that roundabout area for 39 years with no incidents. And I've been through it for 21, 22 years since I live on one side of it and my church is on another side of it, and I teach in a school on the far side of it, and I go through it every day, multiple times a day. And quite frankly, every time I go through it with my hat in hand and my holding my breath, because literally, as many times as I go through it, I sometimes wonder, is this light for me or is this light for them? I don't know who this light is for. And it's frightening. I can't imagine a person who's never been through that intersection how they figure whether they know whether to go or whether to stay or whether to stop or whether to go. But so I can't wait till the roundabout's end, because quite frankly, it's a wonder we haven't had more accidents in that location. And talking about holes in the streets, every other day or so, I don't know what the soft patch or whatever that is they put on the Church Street side of that holes. They fill it in the morning, and then in the afternoon, all this whatever they put in the holes is gone. But I just can't wait till we qualify to get whatever good stuff they put in that stays in, because on Church Street in the first block there in front of United AME, it hasn't qualified for anything permanent yet. And then the block in front of my house, it doesn't qualify yet either. So anybody thinks that just because you're on council that you get special treatment, believe me, it's not the case. It's definitely not the case. Because we got ruts in front of my house on Church Street. Just come over in the 200 block and the 100 block, and you'll see that we get mistreated too. But anyway. But we're going to work this problem out. We're going to solve it.
That's right.
We care.
Oh,
I'm through.
Thank you. Well, I have, before I get to just comments, I have one question for my colleagues. I had mentioned much earlier during the audience comments portion an idea that had been floated by the city manager to me and discussed with the mayor, and didn't have a chance to discuss with the rest of you. Just hearing your views, are you interested in developing a blue ribbon panel
I think
to
so.
engage?
I think that would be the proper way to go.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
I would ask the city manager to take a step forward with that and give us some ideas about how to begin, how to kick it off, that sort of thing, so that we have a most constructive beginning with it.
So directed.
Thank you very much. I just have 3 items this evening. First one is I had mentioned an individual in my comments during BRCA. Wanted to give a shout out to Todd Patterson. He is the gentleman who has administered our youth basketball program for a number of years now. I don't have the exact number. I know it's just been quite a few. And he does an absolutely awesome job. The children there obviously greatly appreciate the opportunity to exercise. I watched Mr. Merriman's son, grab a few rebounds and put them back in the basket. It was really good. And it's just a very comfortable, productive, community-oriented kind of activity. There isn't the, as we've seen, unfortunately, on so many occasions at higher-level sporting events where people are booing or people are heckling other people. I see everyone cheering for all these kids as they're out there having fun, getting some exercise, and learning how to be good sportsmen and sportswomen. So I just wanted to throw a shout out to Todd. He has done a great job and continues to be a very valuable and community-oriented person in our city. Next person I wanted to send a shout out for as well is Mr. Nelson King, who is a new member of BRCA and a longtime member of the Tree Committee. Mr. King recently completed on Thursday, March the 1st, graduated from the Tree Commission Academy.
All right, Nelson.
Which is a 50-hour intensive training program developed and presented by the Ohio Division of Forestry over a period of 2 years worth of seminars and educations and such. And a number of people from our tree committee are graduates of this particular academy and are master gardeners as well. So I think we as a community certainly owe a debt of appreciation to them for attempting to better, as we all are attempting to better our community through the various plantings, trees and such that they have brought to the community over the years, and certainly want to acknowledge both Mr. King's completion of that, but his dedication and continued dedication to the city, and would invite anyone who is similarly interested in horticulture, trees, and that sort of thing to contact BRCA, contact the Tree Committee, and become involved. And then my final item is similar to what several of my colleagues have expressed, sending our sincere and my family's sincere condolences to Pat Felton's family. I met Pat first when I was first on council in 2006. Pat was really a very early mentor of mine, along with Mayor Penwood at the time. And unfortunately, both of these ladies have gone on to their reward this year, and I just distinctly missed them both, and wanted to make a point of expressing that this evening. And thank you to the others who have also expressed their condolences for Pat's passing. Unless there's anything further, I would ask for a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Scrivens, second? Second. Seconded by the Vice President. Roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Yes.